Here we are at the beginning of round 3, Germany's turn. And I'll go through the buys up there, and as usual, subject to change based on events that might transpire during the round. And there was one thing I was trying to remember. Oh, China. It was pointed out that I miscounted China's income on the first turn, so I'm going to give them that $1, which they'll spend immediately. And I forgot a couple of convoys, one in the first turn and 2 on the last turn, so I rolled those out. Here in the Mediterranean, Italy lost $1 to the French cruiser and destroyer that was there. They rolled a 1. And then up there on the 2 England convoy zones, each sub rolled 4, 2 2s, and then the other one was a 3 and a 1. So that was a good round of convoying there from Britain, and I took those dollars off their stack for this turn. So that should get us squared away on the convoying. Let's get those dollars out of there. And hopefully I can remember the convoying as it happens during the turn instead of re-rolling it, or not re-rolling it, but rolling it later on. So the German attack on Russia now, since Italy already went in and failed miserably to get that can opener. So we will attack Russia, but one thing as I'm looking at the board, Anzac had declared war on Japan to get those bonuses at the end of its turn, suspecting that Japan was going to declare war on this turn anyway. Sometimes you take that gamble, and what that does is frees Japan from having to bring America into the war on this third turn, because they can now attack Britain and Anzac because they are, or I should say UK Pacific and Anzac, because they are linked with their political situation, whereas one declares war, the other follows suit, or if they're attacked, they both declare war as well. So that means America is going to stay out of this round. So the opportunity here is with these 2 transports to come down here to Gibraltar and take Gibraltar, eliminate those planes, British planes, because the American fleet is not coming over this turn. So that at the beginning of turn 4, those ships can skedaddle on out of there and be free from the US fleet. So I think I'm going to take that, which is going to eliminate, I was going to do some strategic bombing on London again, but I'm going to need these bombers down there, one to attack Gibraltar and one because if I'm going down there, there's a possibility of a scramble, and you've got a fighter and a tactical. I've got a destroyer, or 2 destroyers and a cruiser. So that battle is slightly, number-wise in favor of the Germans, but in reality, the odds on the dice are a little better for the British. So I need to send a bomber in there just to engage that sea zone, so that if they do scramble, which I know they won't, but if I was playing someone else I wouldn't know that, so I would have to cover my bases. So I'm gonna make the moves, and then, because really it's just a simple, I'm gonna hit the 3 Russian territories in Gibraltar. But I need to stop the video for a second, and then I will come back with the actual battles. Alright, sorry for the interruption during the middle of a country's turn, but sometimes you got to take care of some business at the house here. A walk-on attack here in Baltic states, 5 infantry, 3 came from Poland, 2 from Romania, Stuka and a fighter. There's only 1 Russian guard in that one. All the other units in Romania into Bresabria, just 1 guy guarding that one. And then we'll move up some units into non-com. And then of course we've got our attack in Gibraltar. Like I said earlier, I know I'm not going to scramble, but if I was playing somebody, I couldn't be sure they wouldn't scramble, so I'm going to play it like that. So that bomber is basically useless for this turn. 1 bomber going in with 2 infantry and artillery and a tank. And let's roll that amphibious assault first. And I forgot we do have a cruiser bombard on there. Holy crap, everyone's a hit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's only 5 units there, so they are toast. Can't get much better than that. And the British defend with 2 infantry. So there's not a 1 in there. 2 infantry. Oh, there is a 1, the bomber. A bomber, fighter, and a tactical. And they get 2 hits back. So we will lose. If I just lose the 2 infantry, then I can't really send a full transport somewhere if I wanted to attack something. So I'm going to lose the infantry and an artillery. So now I'll have in Gibraltar at least 1 full transport that can attack something if I wanted to get crazy. Maybe I want to take the Panama Canal. Probably not. Alright, so these are gone. So Germany finally on turn 3 gets a substantially good roll. Alright, Baltic states, walk on. So I got 5 1s into eastern Poland with a fighter and a Stuka. Needed 1, I got 2 hits. I guess I could have rolled the Russian with that too, being it's a green. It misses. Alright, so far so good for the attackers. I'm going to roll the 2 tanks in Bessabria and hope they get a hit. Of course they don't. Alright, so I got 3 artillery, so that would be a total of 6 2s. So, hopefully there's a hit, only 1 hit. I still had, looks like 14 1s, so I'm sure that would have been successful had the 2s missed and the Russian missed. So, the Germans did not lose many IPCs in units that turn. Put that out of the way. So Germany up 3, Russia down 3. And then Germany up 2, because Gibraltar on this map is worth 2. So Britain will go down 2. Let me see if I can reach across the table and move the accordingly down. So what do they have? 5. So that goes up to 57 for Germany. Alright, so we have to land our planes, and both can reach back here to Normandy, so that's where we're going to head, and we'll commence bombing London next turn. I did make a change on my buy. I hope that's in the viewfinder, because I wanted to get another bomber so I can hit some Russian factories, and these are out of position because of that Gibraltar move. So I traded in a fighter and a man for a bomber and saving $1. So we'll put that over here as our build. And over here in Norway, we'll move everything up. And we may have the full-scale assault in the north next turn. Alright, so we got 5 guys. We're going to fly. These 2 planes have 2 left. We're going to park those in Romania. We've got the Italians there. We have a stack of tanks in Yugoslavia and 2 mech, and they will also join in Bessarabia. Alright, we're going to slide an anti-aircraft gun south. I don't know. I think I'll put 1 in here with these infantry, just in case Russia counterattacks with some planes. I wish I could get it down there to the stack in Bessarabia, but I didn't move it, I think, that first turn. That's my bad. Alright, so we've got 4 tanks that will all drive 2 spaces to Romania. And I've got an artillery which will move up. This artillery will move up into Romania. 5 guys into Poland for a counterattack if we need it. These 2 planes will head, now that I say that, yeah, I'll still send them down there because Britain lost their punch by losing those planes on Gibraltar, so the Italian Navy really is only threatened by that 1 British cruiser, which means they would be at a severe disadvantage if they attacked either one of those sea zones. So maybe I'll just send, I got nothing to defend up here, so I'll send them both down to that Malta air base, and then I got these 2 at Rome that'll stay. I've got nothing to move over here. The planes have landed. Not a very exciting Russian turn or attack on Russia. Only losing 3 territories, but it's got to start somewhere. And now we will place our units. So I'm going to place this bomber so we can actually, let's see if I put it here, 1, 2, 3, 4. I can hit that Crimea factory or Leningrad if those planes head out. And let's put some guys. We're going to build a factory in Romania. Oh, I forgot to move this tank out of Greece. I want him to come up here to join the units in Romania. So I built a factory in Romania, which is a good thing on this map because they added Crimea. I don't know why I'm having trouble saying things tonight. Crimea. They added that for a 2, but so they took away the Ukraine 2 and the Western Ukraine 2 to make that territory. So they're only worth 1 each, so you can't build a factory there. So there's a huge dead zone now where you can't get any factories, and as a matter of fact, Rostov is one as well. So until from Romania to Crimea is 3 spaces, so you almost need that factory in Romania. But let's put some infantry here in Germany. We're going to put 1 and a tank in Western because I may send them down to Italy for those transports if they go in the Med. I just want to be prepared. And the other 2 tanks there. We've moved up into this sea zone, which eliminates the Russian national objective for having no Allied units in Russia and this sea zone free of German ships. I've got to move these out of range of these 2 British destroyers. So we'll come 1, 2, and we'll come just 1 here to that naval base. You know what? Let's see, maybe I put this one down here in case those destroyers, they'd have to sacrifice their planes to do that. I don't think that's a wise move because then Britain is back down to ground zero. Alright, I think that is it. Germany saves $1. They are at 57 on the income tracker with just the $10 in national objectives. Nope, they are not
the national objective where they're no longer at war with the Soviet Union. So that is gone because they are at war. So they only have 5, so that gives them a total of $62. So they really only gained $1 once they lost that. Well, I guess they didn't gain anything. It's the $1 I saved that goes up because they gained 5 in territories and they lost the 5 national objectives. On to Russia. Let me see if that camera is on Russia because I forgot to move the screen again. I think everything that Russia will do in Europe is in line here. Let me just turn it a hair. Alright, so the question for Russia is, when do you counterattack? So they can get 8 infantry, or 4 infantry there, 5 infantry there, a mech and an artillery and a tank. And you could possibly throw 2 fighters, 2 tacticals in there. But what that does, flying from this air base, if they fail on that attack, all 4 planes have to land on the front line. And that right there decides that there'll be a retreat for the Russians. We will hit this single guy just to take a space back. We will not waste an artillery on that move, so we'll do 2 guys. Turn that over, 2 guys, tactical and a fighter. And do we hit the 5 infantry and risk a plane going down to that anti-aircraft? I think for the purpose of the anti-aircraft house rule, we'll give that a shot. So all these units, and what we might do is just hit once and bounce back. So that's 2, so those fighters have 3 left, and these fighters have 4, but they're most likely going back to Leningrad. Alright, so that would be just the 1 attack on this side of the board. And I'll get that out of the way, and then I'll move the camera to the Japan side because there might be an attack there. But most likely just shuffling. Alright, so we'll bring in the board again, or the dice tray. Alright, first Russian attack. 2 infantry at 1. Dive bomber, because I don't know how to properly pronounce that one. And the fighter. 2 hits, and they only needed 1. And the Germans fire back and get nothing. Alright, so that guy is toast. Alright, on the next, we've got 2 anti-aircraft guns for the 2 planes. 2, so we've got 1 that retreats. Now that is a problem for Russia, because that plane has to land there in Belarus. I'll put a marker under that so I remember not to move it back, because all this is hitting. So right there you got some anti-aircraft house rule working for Germany's favor, maybe. Well, for certain, because it doesn't get to roll in this battle now. Alright, so you got 2, 3 infantry, 1 mech and 1 artillery. You got a tank, and we chose the fighter so we could still keep that 4 for the combined arms on that dive bomber because we have a tank in there. Oop. Well, there's 2 hits. The one that went out. So 2 German infantry down. I am not going to lose. You know what? I am going to lose the anti-aircraft gun because that's silly. Alright. So I got the 5 2s. Oh no. Alright, so The Russians will proceed because they didn't get a single hit. 3. All right, Germany's down to 1 infantry. All right, so good for the attacker here. This battle is going well. Can't remember on that first. Yeah, they just had 4 left. So they get 2. All right. So if I continue, I gain $1, but I put a tank, artillery, and a mech on the front lines to be destroyed for no real reason. So I will back out of that battle, which also allows me, let me put a German there instead of that chip. It allows me to put these units in there to protect that fighter that has to land there because it's damaged. So we will land the planes back at Leningrad for now. So that is how that looks after the combat. We are going to retreat and move that up there. We're going to retreat. Sure looks like Crimea is going to fall. I don't think we can get enough units there, but we'll pull back 1 and just see. The question is, do I want to leave any infantry there? The Italians, there's no can opener coming. I mean, why would Germany send all those? Oh, we would. We do have to leave 1 guy there. They could blitz into Crimea. So let's move the tank up here. And it looks like most of this is Germans are going south, so we're going to send these 2 south. I'll drive this tank up here. So now we're getting a better counterattack punch here in the south. I got some tanks and mech, and the planes can come in. We're going to move this sub out here since those destroyers left. I can't find my convoy markers. I did set them here. They're lost somewhere on the board. In reality, I guess that convoy marker should be some other color than blue, because it really doesn't show up well enough. By the next turn Germany comes around, will I remember that's even there? Let's try and make it a little more highlighted. And there is, on this map, a convoy box in the Baltic. And ironically, in the game we had Saturday, the discussion was, why isn't there a convoy box in the Baltic Sea because of all the iron ore that came from Sweden to Germany, and the Russians, you know, they went after those ships. So, and really the British submarines did too. So, oh, I don't want to put the sub on there. I want to put a convoy marker on there. All right. So they'll try and steal some money from Germany next turn. And honestly, I probably should have done that a turn prior. But they did have those destroyers there, so I didn't want to waste the subs. Alright, so let me look and see. I think we're done over here. Let's put out our units, and then we'll do the Russians and the Japanese in the next segment on the Pacific side. I did buy an anti-aircraft gun for Moscow. I'm going to move it up into this territory surrounding to give us an extra shot. Another 5 guys for Moscow. Alright, we're going to put a man, an artillery, and a tank in Crimea. Doesn't look like a large German force near Leningrad, so let's put the majority of those forces on the south there in Stalingrad. And we're going to keep somewhat of a little stack in Moscow going. Just because you know what's coming. It happens every game, so why not start building it early? All right, this was, what was that? Oh, that was the guy that was killed. So I need to move Germany down 1 and Russia up 1. All right, so they're up to, Russia's back up to 44. And now I will do Japan and the Russians on the Pacific side when I get the camera set up. Alright, so just for the Russian part over here on the Pacific side, Mongolia is active now. Japan attacked Amur, which, being adjacent to Mongolia, activates Mongolia on the favor of the Russians. And on this map, one of the Mongolian territories where their capital is worth 1 IPC, so the Russians went up 1 for that. I thought about making an attack, but I think that is not wise. So we're going to pull some units back and try and defend these 2 zones here. I think we'll put an anti-aircraft gun in each. We're going to bring these guys up. We're going to keep sliding them towards Moscow. We're going to help China out a little bit. There's no armor that can breach through there. If I leave those Russians there, then the armor can join in there. These aren't worth IPCs, so no need to defend them. And we'll anticipate the oncoming Japanese assault. We got an anti-aircraft in each zone to hopefully get some sort of damage on those 4 Japanese planes. And that will be the end of the Russian turn. And for Japan, because Anzac and the UK Pacific are now at war with Japan, I don't need to attack the US. So let me adjust it here to where we're seeing the South Pacific. And we'll get some action going there. But the dog wants to go out. Doggone it. Alright, well, let me pause it and I'll get started. Alright, so let's get back to Japan. Put that dice tray in the middle there. For the rolls, we are going to hit several items here that will take away Anzac bonuses in reparation for them declaring war on us. So we'll land at New Britain and let's try and knock off Singapore down there. We can't walk into French Indochina because that violates the national objective of not being at war with the US or France and getting those 10 IPCs for that NO. Therefore, we will stay out of French Indochina. We are going to send our 2 bombers over. 1, 2, 3, and we're going to bomb Calcutta. But I will put, I got anti-aircraft gun has a dual purpose there. So I moved 1 up to Burma, so we're flying over Burma, so they'll get a shot at each of those. And I'm going to put this roundel on there to help me remember that, because I am also assaulting Burma. And then there'll be another anti-aircraft for the factory in India. So we are going to hit Burma and this China territory. We're going to skip this one, and the Chinese are just going to get a turn to build up. They had enough money to buy 3 guys, so I'm not too terribly worried about China. We are going to walk on to that one. We're going to walk onto these 2. And I need some more markers. Anyone who's played Global 40 knows that Japan uses the most markers. The downside to all the territories they're hitting is most of them are 1-pointers, so. But we're going to hit that, well, you know what? Whichever one we hit, the other one can come in there and take a mirror back. So we are not going to hit anything. Let's take that off. We're going to skip that. Alright, so with that in mind, we are going to hit, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to overextend ourselves here in Japan. So we're going to come down here to the man and artillery and one of those tanks. You know what? I don't need the tank to do that because I got these planes that can go in there. Since they're not really doing anything else and US is not going to be in the war, so I don't need them back at Tokyo. Just for grins. So we're going to walk in there, walk in there. Alright, that's a battle to roll. We're going to send, so there is 6 British and 1 anti-aircraft gun. So if we send in 4 along with all those planes, shouldn't we be okay? Wouldn't you think? Now let's do that. And then we will send 1 artillery into Shan State because it is empty. So that'll be the walk-on. Alright. So I'm going to put the planes out here, and it doesn't look like it's in the camera, but it's just every stinking plane that's in here. Not every stinking plane, because I'm going to need some fighters here to take off Hong Kong. That dice tray kind of fooled me there a little bit. Alright, so 3 tacticals and 3 fighters along with 4 ground units into Burma. Hopefully we can punch that out because I've built a naval base, or am building one this turn for right here. So that always gives you that option to sling around and hit Calcutta. So if they do come out, they're going to have to, you know, be wary of that because I've got more transports coming down. Alright, so going into Hong Kong, we've got 1 man here and 1 there. Boy, we're going to have to make sure we get that. Send in 3 guys and the 3 fighters. Alright. So now I need some more Japanese markers for down in the islands, and I'll have to move to the other side of the table because I can't reach across there. Alright, so we're coming down here with 2 guys to land on New Britain. We're going to send over a plane for a free kill there. We've got a sub here coming in for a free kill there. So those 2 transports will disappear. Alright, so we've got 1 transport. Let's take the guy from Siam. So there's 2 guys going in. And what else do we have? I guess we're just going to bring 2 more guys from that other transport. 1 from Siam, 1 from Guangxi, and the other transport will go out here with this 3rd guy that remains for a free assault on Borneo. And when you declare war on the UK Pacific, you really want to go after those territories to pound them down on the numbers. Strategically bomb the tar out of them, punish their income, and then assault them like crazy. In theory, of course. Alright, I think I got the battles lined out. So, let's roll. Alright, these are walk-ons. I forgot to move the guys. So those are all done. I got a Chinese battle there. I got 2 fighters, 2 tacticals, infantry, artillery. Just need 1 hit. That's all I got was 1 hit out of all those dice. China rolls back with nothing. Alright, so he is toast. That is the only Chinese loss of the game, or this round I should say. Alright, so that leaves... Oh, you know what? Whenever there's an order to battle and there's an order for a reason, strategic bombing is first in line. Then I believe it's amphibious assaults. But that really plays in effect here because if I do the Burma battle first, then that anti-aircraft gun is gone. So technically I'm flying over it to bomb Calcutta there. So let me grab some 2 numbered dice. So this is the anti-aircraft shot in Burma. Nothing. And now the anti-aircraft shot in Calcutta. So one of these bombers is damaged. It will have to land to the nearest spot, which is Yunnan. So let me put a yellow chip under there. So I know I can't move them in non-com. Alright, and that leaves 1 strategic bomber, which rolls a 6. So that was good news for the strategic bomber there. So you add the 2, so that's 8 damage on this major factory there. So the object of punishing, alright, and that has 3 left on that. The object of punishing UK Pacific is going as planned. Alright, so let's go with the next battle here in Hong Kong. 3 1s, 3 3s, need 2 hits. Got 2 hits. Alright, Britain defends itself with 2 dice for nothing. So I didn't need to bring that 3rd infantry, but you never know. Next battle is in Burma, and the anti-aircraft, there's 6 planes there. However, it can only return fire at 3 of them. Nothing there, no hits, no damage. Alright, so in that dice, I've got 3 tacticals, 3 fighters, 2 infantry, 2 artillery. And honestly, if we don't destroy everything, I'm not too worried about it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits. So you got to choose your casualties before you roll. Because if Britain rolls really bad, you definitely want to lose that anti-aircraft gun. But if they roll really good, you might want to save that anti-aircraft gun. But I do have 2 here in Britain, but or Calcutta, but I'll need those if Japan assaults them. So I will lose the anti-aircraft gun and 4 infantry. So for round 2, they've got 2 guys left. Let's see what kind of damage they do. They have 6 2s coming back at me. Of course, it's all at me. I'm defending myself as well. 2, 4, 6. So 1 hit. So almost, because Burma on this map is worth 3, I really got to finish that off. So I've got my 3 and 3, and I've lost an infantry. Well, that was a good roll. So Britain defends with 2 infantry. One hit. Alright, so Japanese infantry is gone. I don't know, there he is. I say I don't know where I put that one. Alright, so the British infantry are gone. Burma has fallen. Alright, so now, oh, I forgot, I was moving these ships down for the bombardment. And the 2 fighters off this carrier. Well, it's not a fighter, it's a fighter and attack off that carrier. And then I'll decide when I'm done here what to do with these other ships. I can do that because I asked myself if I would allow that, and I did. So that turn after the attacks of Bayan is allowed. So I've got a bombardment for a battleship and a cruiser. I've got an infantry artillery, I got 2 infantry, and then I have a fighter and a tactical. And I wish I had more. There's 4 allied infantry there. Doesn't matter, I got 5 hits. Now, how well can I defend myself? With 4 infantry returning fire. I defended myself well. 3 hits, so we'll lose the 3 guys, leaving the artillery remaining. So, pretty good turn for Japan in Southeast Asia. Eliminated everything but what's in Calcutta. Might have to send some more forces that way. Although Japan right now doesn't, oh, I forgot to take those British off from when I rolled that battle. Japan doesn't have a lot, but with that naval base there and 2 transports full of guys, that's still not enough to really take Calcutta unless I want to lose a buttload of planes. But that decision will be made later. Alright, Borneo's a freebie. That's a freebie, and that plane's a freebie on those 2 transports. And New Britain is a freebie. Let me see if that is all the attacks. I believe it is. Japan is extremely ecstatic about its new growth in income, which is from Russia. 4 territories, but only 2 IPCs. So we'll move Japan up 2, Russia down 2. Now, from China, they gained 1, so we'll move that respectively, 1 each. UK Pacific, prepare to take it in the gut. 3, 4, 7, 10, 14. So that moves them up to 64. So Japan, oh, they will be even because they get 1 from Anzac. So Japan and US are both neck and neck at 65. Alright, so I got to move UK Pacific down 14. So that brings them down to 13. So they still have a, nah, they don't have nothing left hardly. They got less than Italy, which is kind of a gauge for the game, I guess. We'll move Anzac down 1, and let's do our non-combat move. We're going to take all these planes and we're going to land them in Yunnan. We're going to move these, or 1 infantry up. Now, you know what? Let's move both of them up. And 3 fighters, 3 tacticals. The bomber will head back. Now the bomber's going to head back to Guangxi just because I want him to be able to be on this coast in case I need it for some long-range attacks. Which, you know, next turn I could hit the US because they will be in the war technically at the end of their collect income phase on this turn. So yeah, I'll be hitting US on this following turn. Alright, so we're going to send a tank down into there. There's our territory. We are going to move one more guy up. The anti-aircraft gun in case there's an all-out assault. The 2 tanks are heading north. These planes will head back to J-Hole because that's where they started, so they moved 2. Alright, so we are going to move 2 transports to the south. With 3 guys and an artillery, and load them into Guangxi as well. Alright, so we're going to return these to the carrier. The point here is, if I'm looking at what's vulnerable to attack, really not much is. So we got a naval base, so we'll put it there. If they wanted to, they could fly a fighter out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hit that. Not land anywhere. 2, 3. Yeah. So that empty transport is fine where it is. Anzac could send a destroyer, but you're trading 8 IPCs for 7. I don't think that's a wise move. But for grins, we'll put that there. Move the sub. You know what? Let's just move the sub down and convoy. Maybe we drive out that destroyer to come out and get one of our subs, and we'll knock it off. That New Britain transport, these aircraft 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're just going to write off that transport and leave these ships here to possibly attack the US, depending on what their moves are. Alright, I got 1 transport in the north. That I am going to move. Let's put that back on Iwo Jima. Back, grab these 2 guys, and into Amur. So now next turn I feel confident. We've got planes, we've got tanks, we've got infantry. The assault on Russia will continue then. So Japan only has 1 objective, not being at war with the US. So that's 10 IPCs plus the 65 that they have, so they are at 75. So they are the first nation to eclipse the US on cash. But when US goes, they have 65 plus all their objectives, so that will probably, would that be 70, that'll be $90 for the US on the collect income phase of this turn. But like I said, I built a naval base. That's what I needed to leave that carrier for. Because technically, this fighter could go 1, 2, 3, 4 and land in French Indochina. And it's actually happened to me before, so that's why I wanted to leave that carrier there. There was a reason why I was thinking that. I'm glad I remembered before I was forced to kill my transports, which would have been painful. Alright, so yeah, the naval base, placing there. I got 2 transports up in Japan with another destroyer, tank, mech, and an artillery down here, man and artillery there. And really, now that I'm looking at it, I probably should have traded that in for a man and artillery for this transport. But that is a logistical mistake. But that's okay, it's not the end of the world. That transport will be needed at some point. Alright, so I'm going to stop this shooting of the film and get ready for US, China, and I need something to drink. So I'm getting dry. All right, for the U.S. on the Pacific side, the Japanese fleet and the U.S. fleet is really about equal, with the advantage of the U.S. having one more cruiser. But at Pearl Harbor is a scramble of 3 fighters, so that gives the U.S. a slight edge. So therefore, we're going to slide our whole fleet out here to Pearl Harbor, because I can't see making that attack. That just does not seem like a wise decision. So we'll bring our destroyer screen in, but we'll put one destroyer out here at Midway to block those ships from Tokyo in Japan, the home waters there, from coming in. And that really gives the U.S. the edge, so Japan will not make that attack. And we'll bring over 2 guys at, well, let's see, we're going to move these mech up to Alaska. So I think what we're going to do is bring 1 transport with the 2 guys over, and leave 1 transport for the next round. That fighter might as well join. Even though that fighter can't scramble, it could replace some losses a lot easier. And we're placing some more ships there. We're going to have some units for those transports. I can move some over from the East Coast. We'll put, let me look at the US buy and what I could change. Well, I can only put 3 there is the problem, because technically this is still a minor, but these can walk over from central US. And now we'll go over to the central US. Well, essentially nothing happens other than putting out the purchase. Alright, so now I say nothing's going to happen, but there's those Germans there on Gibraltar. So I can only put 3 units. I guess I could leave that destroyer by itself, put the carrier, the other transport, and bomber in eastern, and then the other 2 in central. So I don't think Germany's going to come over for that 1 destroyer. I could move it up because, yeah, so I'll do that, because that wasn't a unit placed on the turn. So now the US declares war, and their income goes up 25 for the national objectives that they have, because they still own the Philippines, giving them a grand total of $90. So the pressure is still on. And Britain, it is, well, nope. It's China's turn. Move over here to China. And quite frankly, you can do a suicide attack on that tank. It might be worth it actually to get that tank. So I probably shouldn't have put that tank and just let that territory fall. Here's the Chinese roll. They got it. Tank is gone, and Japan does not get a hit. So that was an error on my part. I shouldn't have put that tank there in harm's way. So let me adjust the income tracker. So China's back up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so we're going to shift all our forces this way now, because all those fighters can hit that zone if I wanted to try and get that. But you know what? That's a lot of twos, including the 3 that China just purchased. So maybe I think I'll still leave them where they were, because there's no way all those planes are going to hit that. And let's move up. So there, if they vacate Yunnan, at least there's a counterattack that can come. That's it for China. $6. On Britain, I did exercise my right to change the buy. I'm going to remove the carrier for 16 IPCs and add in a factory for 12 and artillery for 4, because I can see Calcutta being in trouble, so I need to get a factory going in Persia. So while I'm here, and we can see, well, let's move it over this way. We'll just do the Pacific side first. And grab the dice tray. Alright, so on the Pacific side, we are going to counterattack the 2 artillery just because they are artillery, with 1 man, 1 artillery, and 1 fighter. And let's see how that goes. That's the only attack on the Pacific side for the British. So we got man, artillery, fighter. 1 hit. 2 artillery back. Nothing. They continue. 1 hit. Nothing. Alright, so that was successful. I guess I need to change that chip out for an infantry. I thought I was going to lose it, actually. So Japan loses 2 artillery and Burma, which is 3 points. That was huge for them. Alright, and on the non-coms, they've purchased 5 more guys and another fighter and an artillery. My question is, do I need to bring those planes back that were going to hit Iraq for defense? I think I'll bring the fighter back. And then we're going to take 1 guy off of here. We're going to come back and pull our ships back, because I can't use that destroyer for blocking because of that naval base. The 2 naval bases, they can just go down to Sumatra and come around, whichever one, you know, I put that destroyer in, they just go around it. And then I don't want to use that battleship for a blocker. But I will leave the should I leave the destroyer? So that's going to force Japan to at least bring the capital ships, because I'll have a 3-plane scramble and a destroyer. So that might make them think twice about hitting that Calcutta. But I may have to adjust the buy, because there is 7 damage, and I am buying 5, 6, 7 units. So I'm going to need to pay down 2 so I can get 5. Alright, so if I pay down 2, now I'm going to have to pay down 3. I'm taking infantry off that stack. That means I can place 6, so that should be good. So that leaves a total of 4 damage. Adjusting my buy as we go. We put that infantry out that I moved back from Sumatra, because we've got a naval base here, so I'll have some options there.
let me place their buy while I'm over here, which is no longer a red chip. It'll be a green and a gray. So that'll be 4 infantry now instead of 5. Fighter and an artillery. So that gives them 6, 7, 8, 13 infantry and artillery and 3 fighters. That will have to hold. Alright, for the Middle East battles, back the camera up a little bit. We're going to go in and hit Iraq. We're going to keep that plan in force. So those 2 transports, grab those 2 guys, artillery. Alright, so those guys walk in, they're all 1s. Those 2 boosted, we got that. We've got a cruiser and a cruiser bombardment. More than enough, I believe, to get the job done. We will not hit Italy. And then up in the north, there's no battles either. It'll just be placing units. So we just have that 1 battle in Iraq. So we got infantry, artillery, we got a tank, we got a tactical that is boosted by the tank and combined arms, and then we have 4 infantry at 1. I don't know if that's in the line there, but there's 4 hits. There's 3 infantry in Iraq, 2 back. Alright, so let's lose the 2 guys, the 3 gray chips for Iraq. And Britain gains $3 for Iraq. Alright, so he'll land back in Persia. So now I can send that over to Calcutta if I need to next turn. So things aren't looking quite as grim as they were earlier for Calcutta. We'll drive up the 2 tanks. We're going to move 1 guy over to Transjordan. These 2 tanks come up. This mech comes up. And for the most part, we're going to place that factory in Persia. I'll turn this over here and get the placements up north. I've got 2 transports here. And boy, now that I'm looking at that, that might present a target for Germany if they want to suicide some units up there. Well, they're dead if I place them in London, either side there. So we'll just have to risk that one. And on to Italy. So Germany took out the threat of all those British planes in Gibraltar, leaving Italy an option here to get the entire looking for a marker. There they are. Get another NO here if they can take Alexandria. And I think this bomber 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So he can land back in Greece. We've got a fighter. And I hate to throw, but we'll throw 2 guys in there, because there's a lot of British armor there for a counterattack. I've got my transports over there, but I think I'm just going to go home with those. And over here, this tank's just going to go up and back. There's no need sitting there because the Americans are coming next turn.
I've got something flashing here on the camera and I don't know what it is. Yeah, it's not the battery light, so I think we're good. Alright, so the one battle for Italy. 3 of 4 and 2 1s. And I'm going to roll that British as the green dice. British hit, Italy hits, so it's 1 to 1, and let me get rid of those chips. And of course I don't have a British or Italian soldier anywhere. We'll chip out this one here. Alright. So Alexandria on this map, worth 1. All the other maps, that's a blanker. And then Morocco. So Italy goes up 2 and Britain goes down 1. Alright. I did forget to collect the British money. So I will do that. They're at 41 on the income tracker, but they would have been at 42. But they have no NOs, national objectives, so that'll be 42 for Britain. So I'll have to remember to get that. Italy, he goes back to Greece. This fighter was a 1. I did buy a carrier. That'll be 2, 3, 4. Now we'll have a carrier, 2 destroyers, a cruiser, and the plane that I purchased. So now we've got some punch and some protection for my transports. So now Britain's got to be concerned about that. But hey, the Americans are coming, so they're not too concerned. Alright, these 3 Italians that were in Romania, I think we'll move them up into eastern Poland. To help boost that northern, and that tank can reach there. We'll see if there's any can opening opportunities there next turn. Alright, so while I'm here, I know it's out of turn, but the France guy will just move over 1 into Sudan. Destroyer's going to stay put. Alright, so we're off to Italy on their cash before I get carried away. They are at 25. They did pick up North Africa objective, so they have 10 now. I say that, they also have 3 of the 4, Gibraltar, Southern France, Greece. So Italy is up to 15 on the national objective. So this is Italy's high water mark. They've got $40 coming their way, and so is America. Alright, Anzac, and we are done here for turn 3. So the big question with Anzac here is, let me back it up a little bit so you can see the islands. Do I waste a destroyer or get convoyed? Doesn't seem like a smart move wasting a destroyer at this point, because that Japanese fleet can still come south, but they're going to lose their transport. This fighter is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, land in New Guinea. Transport's done. We're going to move 1 guy over. And we've got another 3rd fighter coming up to replace that. I think we're just going to stay put and take our convoy this turn, because I did buy another destroyer and a bomber. I didn't want to buy a factory yet for Queensland, because there was the possibility of some of those transports and the Japanese coming and taking them. So we're going to have to build up some forces here, which I think we're getting close to buying that. But the sad news is both national objectives are gone. They lost Malaya, which does gets rid of that one, and then the islands, New Britain takes care of that one. So actually the first objective is not a factory, but we're going to need some transports and some guys to at least get that one back. So they end the day at 20. So they get $20, which is still pretty respectable for Anzac. Put that dice tray over there. And looking at the income tracker, China is at 6, UK Pacific 16, Anzac 20, Italy 25, Britain 41, Russia 42, Germany 56, Japan 61, and the US 65. And we will be back with round 4 on another date.